Hello and welcome to the second installment of Vegan Bootcamp, the series in which I go through Vegan Bootcamp, which is an online course created by the Vegan Hacktivists to basically teach you everything you need to know about going vegan. Like I said, this is the second installment, so you can go back and watch the first one, but these don't really have to be watched in order. Each lesson is basically just about a different part of the way that animals are used by people. So they can kind of be watched independently, but they might build a little bit, but you can probably just jump in here. So like I said, I'm going to be doing Vegan Bootcamp. This is something I was already going to do on my own, but I figured I might as well record myself doing it so somebody else can learn along with me. Maybe somebody who doesn't have the time to sit down at a computer and dedicate quite this much time, but maybe, you can do it while doing other things. So anyways, today we're going to be doing the cheese lesson. So let's click in here. So I'm going to check in here because I guess it was pretty hard to tell with the dairy one, but that one was pretty long. So I'm interested that there's a whole other cheese section because that cheese is obviously a form of dairy. So I guess we're going to see what is different about cheese. I mean, different enough that it warrants its own section. So let's go ahead. I'm going to try and zoom in here this time because last time I found that it kind of took up, oh, that's so much better. Okay. All right, you live and you learn. That's better. I'm glad I did that this time. All right, so hopefully you'll be able to see it a little bit better if you are watching. All right, so without further ado, we are jumping right into Introduction to cheese. All right. Omnivores and ovo-lacto-vegetarians alike often cite abstinence from cheese as one of their key concerns when considering a vegan diet. To many, cheese is the Achilles heel that prevents them from adopting a vegan lifestyle. Given the addictive nature of dairy-based cheeses and their prevalence in Western foods, this concern is understandable. Luckily, quitting cheese is not nearly as daunting as it seems, and within a few weeks of abstinence, most people wonder why they made such a fuss in the first place. There is a massive variety of delicious foods that do not contain cheese. Furthermore, there is also a fantastic selection of dairy-free cheeses to choose from, and these are only increasing in number and quality as time goes on. When we keep the cruelty of the dairy industry in mind, its environmental impact, and its negative health consequences, it becomes very difficult to justify consuming non-vegan cheeses. So this relates to something else that I've read, which is that a lot of people are moving away from cheese, like people who are not vegan, like for example, they will order like oat milk in their coffee, but they don't really think of things that aren't just like straight up milk as like dairy products. So like a lot of people just think of cheese as sort of separate from milk, or they're just like straight up so addicted to cheese that they don't want to see it as a dairy product. All right, next section, health effects of cheese. The adverse health effects of dairy-based food consumption, including cheese, are well documented. Cheese is one of the top sources of saturated fat and sodium in the Western diet, and a number of studies have shown serious health implications linked to a cheese-heavy diet. One such study is a 2014 study, Milk Intake and Risk of Mortality and Fractures in Women and Men, Cohort Studies. This particular study, carried out over 20 years, followed a group of men and women and tracked their eating habits. The researchers found that participants with a higher intake of dairy products displayed higher rates of heart disease, bone fractures, cancer, and premature death. There is a 2015 study, Lactose Intolerance and Risk of Lung, Breast, and Ovarian Cancers. I don't know how to say that word. Etiological clues from a population-based study in Sweden. It is found that individuals with lactose intolerance who avoid dairy were found to have decreased risks of lung, breast, and ovarian cancers, with the same decreased risk not found in their non-lactose intolerant family members. This suggests that this decreased risk may be related to the avoidance of dairy products. These are just two of many studies that highlight the link between cheese consumption and poor health outcomes. Further reading on this topic can be found here and here. So that's interesting and something I was not aware of at all, which is that If you do have lactose intolerance, which is just the natural way of being, which I believe that we learned in the last episode, because we only have lactose tolerance because there was like a gene mutation that allows us to basically continue to digest a lactose, which normally only babies have. And so that's interesting that there is like a further correlation between lactose intolerant and other negative health outcomes. It's almost like your body's trying to tell you something. All right, next lesson. Okay, delicious alternatives. Many people express deep concerns about their ability to quit dairy-based cheeses when going vegan. Because of casomorphin, an addictive opioid-like compound found in cheese, this seems like a daunting task. The good news is that quitting dairy-based cheese is not nearly as hard as it seems, and within a couple of weeks of being dairy-free, you will wonder why you made such a fuss in the first place. Okay? All right, dairy-free cheese options. There are a wide variety of commercially available vegan cheeses, and they're only increasing in number and quality. These products are commonly found in mainstream supermarkets, health food stores, and specialist vegan grocers. There is also the option of online ordering if you live in an area where these products are not available. Some highly regarded vegan cheese brands include Miyoko's Creamery, very delicious, Follow Your Heart, personal favorite, Violife, Daya, BioCheese, Field Roast, Chow, Hello Friend, and Kite Hill. I've heard good things about the Kite Hill ricotta, but I've never tried it. Let me know your favorite vegan cheese in the comments. There is also the option of making your own dairy-free cheeses at home. Books such as Artisan Vegan Cheese, This Cheese is Nuts, and the Non-Dairy Evolution Cookbook provide fantastic, beginner-friendly introduction to making vegan cheeses from scratch. These books contain both instant cheese recipes and recipes that use more traditional cheese culturing methods that require aging over a period of days. Interesting. I think I'll pass, but it's good to know that's out there. I like that it makes fewer excuses for people. All right, the vegan cheese market. Over the last... I have to work on my breathing control. Over the last few years, the number of vegan products on store shelves has skyrocketed, including the number of delicious plant-based cheeses or vegan cheeses at key grocers. Vegan cheese is a plant-based or non-dairy cheese imitation intended for vegans and other consumers who are lactose intolerant and don't like to consume animal products. Vegan cheese is 100% animal-free and is made using proteins from plants. Generally, it is made from plant-based kinds of milk, such as soy, nuts, pine nuts, almonds, and cashews, coconut milk, and rice milk. Vegan cheese is cholesterol-free and is an excellent source of protein. Vegan cheese is widely used in bakery products, fast food snacks such as vegan pizza, burgers, etc., and in several other vegan food and beverage products. Types of vegan cheese. There we go. Now I'm not covering it. On the basis of product type, the vegan cheese market is segregated into mozzarella, Parmesan, cheddar, cream cheese, and ricotta. Mozzarella vegan cheese is predominant in the overall market and is expected to continue to drive market growth over the forecast period, owing to its versatility in different recipes. On the basis of product form, the vegan cheese market is segregated into shreds, blocks, wedges, and slices. On the basis of source, the vegan cheese market is segregated into almond, soy, coconut, cashew, among other types such as pine nuts, etc. The almond milk segment leads the market share in terms of both market value and volume. On the basis of end use, the vegan cheese market is distributed into food processing, food service, and household/retail. Among vegan cheese used for food processing, the snack segment is holding the maximum share of the market due to the higher consumption of snacks such as vegan pizzas and burgers. On the basis of distribution channel, the vegan cheese market is separated into direct sales and indirect sales. This is so technical. I wasn't expecting this type of language, but okay. This is not where I was expecting this to take us, but here we are. All right, we've gone through the distribution channel. Okay. The indirect sales segment holds approximately 90% of the market share, as a greater number of convenience stores are adding vegan cheese products to their shelves. Vegan cheese products are emerging as substitutes for dairy cheese and are quickly gaining significant traction, as these products are meeting the texture, mouthfeel, and taste requirements. Another interesting thing that they didn't mention here is the lab-grown dairy cheese, which it seems like a significant player here, because I think that the lab-grown dairy stuff is making progress a lot faster than lab-grown meat. So I think that, unfortunately, like with a lot of other vegan things, the thing that's actually going to drive people to veganism is basically being able to eat one-to-one reproductions of animal products that didn't actually harm any animals. So while I do really like these vegan cheese alternatives that are made out of like the plant-based materials, I do ultimately think, like a lot of other people, that it's going to be the lab-grown stuff that's going to make the change. Okay, the next section is vegan cheese production and statistics. In terms of production of vegan cheese, approximately 90,000 million tons? Okay, I don't understand. 90,000 million tons. I don't know. I'm not a math girl, so who knows? All right, approximately 90,000 million tons was produced globally in 2017. The key region of output was North America at just under 1/3 of the total volume, and the United States approximately just under 1/4 of this total. The markets of Western European countries such as Germany, France, and Italy have shown the most significant increase in production in the last few years, well into double-digit growth. Meanwhile, vegan cheese consumption accounts for around 4 to 5% of global plant-based food consumption, with North America and Western Europe being among the most prominent customers and most matured markets, or there is a preference for ready-to-eat meals, snacking, etc., with growth recorded in Parmesan vegan cheese and a decline in processed cheese. Okay. I wonder how they're defining processed cheese here. I don't know. All right. Developing regions such as Asia Pacific and the Middle East and Africa exhibited an increased adaptation to vegan cheese. Asia Pacific countries such as China and India have experienced substantial expansions in terms of consumption of vegan cheese. Health consciousness is continuously playing an important role in customers' choices, with a growing inclination towards cheese with low-fat content due to increasing obesity rates. In terms of value, the global vegan cheese market is expected to account for a market value of US $1,988.3 million. I'm being illuminated to the fact that I don't know how to read numbers that are that big. That is not part of my daily life. All right, by the end of 2018, by product type, the vegan Parmesan cheese segment is expected to register a CAGR of 8.5% in terms of revenue. The vegan cheese market in Middle East and Africa region is likely to record sluggish growth due to limited product penetration, and relatively smaller population of vegans in this region. And then the original source of the article, find it by clicking here. And again, if you want to look into any of these sources further, it's very easy to make an account with Vegan Bootcamp and just check that out if you're curious about learning more of any of that. So basically what this part is saying, it just told us a little bit about the types of cheeses, what they can be made of, and like the predicted expansion of the vegan cheese market. All right, let's move on to the next lesson. All right, this one seems like it's going to be a lot shorter than dairy, which makes perfect sense because dairy was extraordinarily long. All right, this section is cheese and its detrimental environmental impact. I'm very curious for this section to find out if cheese is actually worse than just dairy by itself. So is there something about cheese in particular that dairy by itself does not have in terms of negative impact for the environment? So let's find out. Reset the lungs, deep breath. All right. Are non-dairy cheeses actually environmentally preferable? Okay. The story of dairy cheese's impact starts with methane, a greenhouse gas produced by cows, or even more gassy sheep, with roughly 30 times the global warming potential of CO2. While the climate impact of a cup of milk isn't too significant, it takes up to 10 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of cheese, multiplying the impact considerably. Okay, so that's what it is. That answers my question. So 10 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of cheese. Okay, that makes sense. Then the processing and aging of the cheese requires energy, which produces more carbon. So basically, cheese is even worse than milk because it takes more milk to make less cheese. And then the additional processing that happens to the cheese consumes more resources, which is then also worse for the environment. All right, here we go. I'll go up again so I'm not covering anything. There we go. Okay. The nuts and soybeans that form the basis of a number of non-dairy cheeses produce far less emissions before processing, which is where we see most of cheese's emissions. Exact metrics for a particular product are hard to come by. All right, so they are basically saying that milk, like the production of milk, is predominantly the problem with dairy cheese, and thereby the nuts and soybeans that are used to make vegan cheese have a far smaller environmental footprint, and that is the main reason why non-dairy or non-animal cheese is better for the environment. All right. Oh, sorry, I keep going up. Here we go. There is also the issue of water. You may have read about all the water required to grow a single almond, 1 gallon. The water footprint of nuts is nearly twice that of milk on a per-calorie basis, but almond milk has half the calories per serving, so that should, shall we say, come out in the wash. Recipes for nut-based cheese vary quite a bit, but they tend to use less milk than the dairy cheese average. All right. Okay, so water takes up nuts take up nearly twice as much water of milk on a per calorie basis. But almond milk has half the calories per serving. Okay, so basically this section is informing us that dairy cheese and nut cheeses for almond milk, so I guess it's specifically only for almond milk, that they use approximately the same amount of water. I feel like that contradicts something that we learned in the dairy lesson, but maybe I'm misremembering. All right, not gonna cover up. There we go. Not all cheese is created equal, and non-aged cheeses such as the uber-popular mozzarella have a somewhat smaller footprint because of the lessened need for energy used in the aging process. Feta is a top pick from experts crunching the emissions number on our cheese choices. All right, so I'm pretty sure they're talking about vegan cheese in this section. So a non-aged cheese like mozzarella, which is apparently not aged. I don't know a lot about cheese. And feta also do not need to be aged. This is even in the case of vegan cheeses. So that makes them the most environmentally friendly of the vegan cheeses. All right. It's worth noting that the serving size listed on the EWG Eat Smart infographic can be a little misleading, as 4 ounces of cheese could be 4 servings, while 4 ounces of beef is only 1 small-ish serving. It's not difficult to eat twice that amount of meat in one sitting, but do you typically put away a half pound of cheese in one go? On the flip side, an 8-ounce serving of chicken has about the same footprint of the 4 ounces of cheese you might put on your personal-sized pizza, so skipping meat in favor of cheese might not have the effect you intended. Okay, so dairy-based cheese is definitely something to cut back on if you're trying to shrink your footprint. Non-dairy cheeses could help if cheese plays a central role in your diet. So the cheese section seems to be incredibly environmentally focused. And so they're saying that non-vegan people who are trying to be more environmentally conscious, for example, might skip putting chicken on their pizza. They might skip an 8-ounce serving of chicken and instead go for just a cheese-only pizza. And that dairy-based cheese has the same environmental footprint as a certain amount of meat. So in that case, skipping meat in favor of cheese, so vegetarianism, or at least making a vegetarian choice, is not always going to be more environmentally friendly, like a lot of organizations may have you believe. All right. Many vegans also recommend nutritional yeast. Sorry, I'm covering it. Okay. Also called nooch, which they use in place of grated Parmesan on pasta to add flavor and nutrition to soups and other dishes. Fortified versions are a good source of B vitamins, lacking in most vegan diets. Which milk should I choose? All right, so we're back to this chart. I'm pretty sure we've seen this before. All right, so we've got dairy milk emissions here. Oh, I guess this is just emissions in general, not water usage. I think the last one might have been water usage. All right, so dairy milk is obviously the biggest. Oh, no, this is emissions, land use, and water. Okay, my bad. So emissions, obviously dairy milk is the worst one. Land use, dairy milk by far the worst one. Water use, also the worst one. But as far as water use goes, it looks like almond milk is like between half and 2/3 of what that is, so it's still not as bad. As the dairy milk, rice milk is again, it looks like less than half of the water usage of dairy milk. And in terms of emissions, I mean, they're all just so much lower than dairy milk that if somebody says they care about the environment, there really isn't an excuse to be consuming any kind of dairy products. All right, so we're gonna skip this 2-minute vegan white sauce, even though I'm curious. I will put the link to that in the description here. I'm just gonna go ahead and open that in a new tab so I can put that in the description. Hopefully you won't forget. And then we'll go next lesson. Oh, all right, another cheese recipe. We're gonna open that link in a new tab as well. And let's see. Okay, 5 vegan cheese recipes. The magic of nutritional yeast. We're here to spread the word of nutritional yeast and the cheeses it can evolve into. All right, so this is another vegan cheese recipe. Very cool. I will put that also in the link in the description of the video for anybody who is curious. So one more. And then, all right, another vegan cheese recipe. All right, might as well while we're at it. And some more. I'm gonna skip these because you can probably just Google mac and cheese recipes and find one that tickles you, because this whole adding the links thing is getting out of hand. That's too many links. All right, we're on to the quiz. So that was so much more manageable than the last one. All right, here we go. Question 1. Cheese is one of the top sources of sodium in the Western diet. True or false? True. What is the opioid-like compound found in dairy-based cheeses? Casomorphins. All right, what is a common ingredient used in dairy-free cheese production? We've got xanthan gum, carrageenan, nutritional yeast, or all of the above. And even though I do not believe that they covered this, although I guess this might be referring to the videos that we didn't watch, so okay, that's my bad. But we're gonna go with all of the above based on some of the context clues we've been given. And then, oh gosh, how many liters are required to make 200 milliliters of cow milk? This feels like a question from lesson 1 or 2, I guess, from the dairy lesson. 200 milliliters, oh gosh. It's a math question. Oh, I might get this one wrong. I very well might. All right, how many liters for 200 milliliters of cow milk? How much is 200 milliliters? It's not going to be the smallest one. I don't think it's going to be the biggest one. We've resorted to test-taking strategy. Okay. The last one was D. Oh, no, that's not going to help me. 400 liters, that's way too much. 1 liter, 200 millimeters. Oh, gosh. This feels unfair. This feels like not relevant to this section. You know what? I'm just going to click 120 liters. And we're going to find out right now. They didn't tell me my score? Did they not tell me the score last time? What happens if we go back to the cheese? Oh my gosh, no. Wait, hang on. What? They don't even... Okay, that's a bit upsetting. They don't score the quiz. All right. That's unfortunate. I would have liked to know if I'd gotten them right. Okay. All right. Anyways, next lesson. Moving on. Oh my, no, I have to answer again. All right, another design flaw. Okay. Here we go. Opioid compound, case of morphine, correct. Oh, I'm incorrect here. That's, all right, it does grade the quiz, just not very clearly. All right, that's all of the above. So it's not, it wasn't 120. 200 million. Is it 1? 77. Is it 400? Is it just gonna be the biggest one? Okay, now it's graded. Now it's graded. Okay, I'm incorrect. I'm gonna try again. Is it 1? Oh my gosh, it was 77. The last one. The last one I clicked. All right, well, we were right on all the other ones, so congratulations. I'm still wrong? How is that possible? I've clicked all of them. I've clicked 400, I've clicked 1, I've clicked 120, and I clicked 77. Next lesson. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. All right, we're gonna click 120 again. All right, it's just moved me on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're leaving this lesson without the knowledge of how many liters of water it takes to make 200 milliliters of cow's milk, but watch the last lesson if you want that information, or complete a simple Google search. All right, done. Complete this course. Okay, we are done with cheese, and I'm going to leave that off here. It looks like the lessons vary pretty dramatically in length, so yeah, it definitely looks like dairy was extraordinarily long. Makes sense that cheese is a much shorter course, so thank you for checking out this video. Let me know if you learned anything or if you have any other interesting or relevant facts about cheese, or maybe even dairy in general. But again, I want to know your favorite vegan cheese brand, and I want to know if you learned anything interesting and if you think that there was anything missing from this particular course. Thanks again for being here. Subscribe to, that's a lot of I'm sorry. Feel free and subscribe to the channel if you want more of this. I also have a bunch of other videos that I hope you'll find interesting. And I will hopefully see you in the next episode of Vegan Bootcamp. Thank you. Goodbye.